so much. And, I'm going to slip from time to time and say Donna because D is, Donna to me. So, but I want to welcome everybody for joining our second ice cream social reading. Our first one was at Wilkes University, and we had a lot of fun that day, and we took home an awful lot of ice cream also. At least here, I have a few guests joining me from the Jersey Shore Arts Center and from the Jersey Shore Writers, and we would like to say hello to the Elwood group of writers because they really got up early this morning to make it to our 4:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Standard Time. And we also have the Walton writers. I don't know if anybody from the Walton writers is on here yet, but they're from Georgia. And I was introduced to them through Carol McAllister, who was the other co-founder of the Jersey Shore Writers. And today we're honored. I mean, I can't say it any other way. I feel honored that you're here and that you're with us. And if we have any Wilkes University, which I know Andrea Rapido is taking her MFA there, we want to say hello to any faculty, students, alums that might be joining us from there. So, I mean, the big news is we have so much to be thankful for in having you as our contributors. It's been a very special 2-book year where Art in the Time of COVID-19, I mean, we've never received the amount of submissions that we have with the Art in the Time. And I would say that we were in the 500 person category, and it was amazing the stories that we read. Sad, beautiful, well written, some painful, some really brought us together and gave us the feeling of we're not in separate states or cities or countries. We're together. We were together in this pandemic and we still are. It's going on close to 2 years, And so my job today is to introduce our readers, and our first reader is the co-winner of the 2021 contest, and that's Andrea Rapido, who currently lives in Pennsylvania. She was an Ohio veteran and an Air Force, Ohio native and an Air Force veteran, living in Pennsylvania, where she teaches English in college. And she's taking her MFA, as I said, Wilkes Creative Writing, where Donna and I and Maggie, we all went to school. And Wendy here sitting next to me, Wendy was the first of many publishers.
Three.
Well, on 3, we were called we were called East Meets West American Writers Review, and Wendy was the publisher then. And Donna and I got together in 2017 in Italy, and it just is amazing at how one little passing story says, wow, everybody was so terrific last night when they read their work. Why don't we make this a book? And that's what we did. So Jewels of San Fedele was our first together, and we've been together now since 2017, cranking out. And I have to tell you that I'm humbled to work with Donna alongside her, because I don't know how she does it. I mean, we read, we read sometimes 24 hours a day. You writers keep us really busy. but it's just so amazing how she gets this laid out and the right cover and the right everything. And we've entered into an anthology contest. Our covers, the two that you see in front of you here, were entered into 2021's and for best anthology, best cover. And these are people's art. This is their hands. This is being drawn by them. Meantime, I introduce Andrea, and then I go on like, crazy woman. Andrea, please step up to the microphone and read us your work. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Patricia. This poem that I'm about to read, I wrote early on when I started my MFA program. Christine Galliano helped me revise it a little bit, but the content was all there. It's based on an experience when my husband, who is a retired Marine, when he was in Afghanistan. It's called Requiem for Believers. 1. The only colors alive in that February rain were blues, red stripes and white stones standing in formation as I stepped behind horses pulling the cold casket, and I watched his mother watch her son get a gun salute. The blasts, like bullets, could not pierce gray, could not break open clouds and let us hear the sun still shone somewhere that day. 2. The sun still shone on you, beat hard on octagon hats and khaki hands, pulling triggers on blistered desert land. Those days, everything was too hot or too cold. No place was just right to step. I sat rocking next to our baby's crib when you called about the IED, about your favorite troop wanting to patrol down the dusty village road, and your last word to him was go. Sand quenched itself with blood, then swallowed part of you too. Ordered to stay, I had to tell you about the way the sky fell on his flag that day, how I learned the art of watching clouds, the art of wait. 3. Waiting for you to return at 2 a.m. in a North Carolina parking lot is when I learned that blacktop breathes out summer sun in a sticky twilight sigh, and this was how you did it too. Evicted the light which nourishes in small doses. It rose from your sand-burned lungs, scorched pavement over soft spots. This is how to exhale God, quietly, into the humid space before dawn's clouds meet pale morning. 4. They buried the boy in Arlington under Angel Maroney. You buried your Bible in dried red sand under spewed Eucharist. 5. Sometimes when I walk down the road in February rain, I believe the clouds will part at winter's end. I wait for it, and now you wait for nothing.
Beautiful.
Thank. Give me your phone so I can mute it.
Thank you.
That was beautiful. Really.
Thank you.
I'm doing a test run. I'm sorry to have done that, but we wanted to ask people if they have questions for Andrea that they would like answered about her poem.
Yeah, just raise your hand and I'll unmute you if you want. Margie, I agree with you. I couldn't say it better myself.
We have Joel on chat.
Yes, such a poem, well deserving of the award, Andrea. And absolutely it is.
Thank you.
Do you have Barry next or Anita?
I have Barry.
Okay.
I have Barry next. I have Australia coming in next
Okay.
to read. Yep.
Okay, Australia.
Yeah, ready
Just-
for me?
I can hear
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good. Okay. I'm Barry. I'm calling. I'm here from Melbourne with the other Elwood writers, Jenny, Jennifer, Margaret, and Helen, who's also, I think, going to be reading after me. I'm a short story writer, originally from Liverpool in the UK, but now living in Melbourne in Victoria. And I'm going to read, and thanks Patricia and Donna for such wonderful introductions, and thanks Andrea for such a beautiful poem that you just read. That was really very moving. I'm going to read from American Writers Review, the current edition, my short story, Glassy. She talks about the first time. It was, she says, during her walk by the river, her daily search for solitude. The bottle was standing upright, catching sunlight on a fence post near the rail bridge. Wooden fence, empty green wine bottle, unremarkable. But then a vibration, high-pitched and faint, like a tuning fork. Not from the bottle, not exactly, but of it. A confidential whispering of its glass body. And then a train overhead exploded into the reverie. She tried to make out the faces of commuters at the passing windows. All she saw was shapes, passing glares. Then the bottle was silent. She walked away, thoughtful, slowed, looked back, a glint beckoning. Don't go. She returned, picked up the bottle, swung it, forwards and backwards, replaced it on the post, adjusted to the same position, label facing the river. She would return the following day to see if it had waited. Tomorrow, she whispered before leaving. Next day, the bottle was there, still, smiling. She held it, stroked it, swung it forwards, backwards, sensed its want for flight. Yes, it said. She looked around. Nobody else. Here goes. She swung deep, released. The bottle arced high and slow, strange how slow, towards its destiny, towards the bridge wall. Impacted, then shattered, splinters like happy raindrops in sun rays. The goods train rumbled overhead. When it had passed, silence. That silence, an absence, glassy air settling, the most beautiful sound. She says she had to have it again, and again, and again. Now she spends her days seeking it. And that's Glassy.
Wow.
Thank you for letting me read. I enjoyed
Oh,
reading that story.
Thank you
read
so
so well.
much. And you
Yeah.
read so well. Your cadence
Oh,
is
thank you.
beautiful. Beautiful.
Oh, thank you. That's nice feedback. Thanks very much.
Anybody questions?
No, I wish I had questions. Can you give me advice to write that beautifully?
That was
Thank you.
just lovely.
Yes,
Thank you.
it was. And we do have Helen McDonald, who is based in country of Victoria in Australia. She writes poetry, memoir, and short stories. She's published in Australia and overseas, including Drifting Sands, a journal of Hairbun and Tango Prose, Creatix, SO Journal, American Writers Review, and Love's Footprint. She's included in Democratic Poetry, Poetry Matters 220, an anthology of selected poems, 2006 to 2019. Helen is a member of the Elwood Writers, and her work is included in their anthology Every Second Tuesday, published December 2020. And we were very fortunate to be able to come on your Zoom meeting and see that take place. So Helen, we're waiting for you.
Now, Patricia, did you want me to read one of the poems? What do you think?
Yes, please read
We-
one of the poems, but I would like you to read what you're comfortable with and what you would like to give us as a gift.
Oh, sure. So I'll choose one, and
Okay.
we'll take it from there, because you so kindly accepted 3 of my short
Yes,
poems. So
we did. We did.
I don't want to hog.
No, you're not hogging. You're
Okay.
great. Thank
So
you.
thank you so much, Patricia. And can I just say, from the Elwood Writers, and you'll see Jennifer, could you wave, please? And Margaret, who's been involved, of course, with American Writers Review, and Barry. And we're just so thrilled that we called it Hands Across the Ocean. We're just so thrilled to be part of your creative writing groups and journey. And it's so lovely to actually see you both, Dee and Patricia. Having
Thank you.
corresponded over the last couple of years, it's really quite a thrill. So we're
And for
all
us
very
too.
thrilled to be here. Thank you. And yes, what a year it's been for all of us. And we've managed to get through on Zoom every second Tuesday, meeting, as we have done now for 13 years or more. And we're still going strong. So one of the things about the year, of course, it was the overarching was the pandemic, but I'd like to read you something that was something very personal for me, that was also a source of great turmoil and recovery. So this one is called Restoration. I wish I had a broom and could climb mini-sized into your beautiful brain, to scrub and clean punctured vessels and take a tiny needle and thread, sew up the holes and make it perfect again. Your beautiful brain shuddering in spasms, darting down extremities to shut them down, sever sensation, let slip the beauty of a full curved lip. Give me needle and thread and I will repair, remake you with your sharp, clear thoughts, magician, solver of problems. The gods are jealous, but we don't let them near. We adapt, deflect, adapt again. Whatever they hurl, we dodge and weave, and nothing rocks us. Make me tiny, my fingers swift. Let me repair you and defeat the gods again.
Oh my goodness. It's almost beautiful poetry.
Yes, go ahead. Can you hear me? Yes, yeah.
I do have a question that was lovely. Would this be depicting someone with Alzheimer's?
No, it's not. It's but a neurological condition.
Okay.
Yes.
I love how you started off with broom. I love the visual of the broom. You just, trying to bring it up, sweep it together or away. I just love it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Shall I do one short one?
Please, absolutely.
It's very short, and I'd just like to share it because it was one of my first attempts at haibun. So of course everybody knows what a haibun is, don't they? And I had to find out, frankly. But
I'm thinking haiku. Haiku.
No, it's actually, Patricia, it's not. And I'll tell you what a haibun is. A haibun is a piece of prose poetry followed by a haiku. So there you are.
Okay.
It's a form, it's a poetry form. And so it's a little freer in the prose form. And then the haiku follows, which shouldn't necessarily be summing up what is in the prose piece, but hopefully will resonate with the prose piece. So it's very short.
I wrote that down.
Oh, thanks, Patricia. So this is called COVID Lockdown. I cannot see my mother, nor my mother-in-law. The women whose presence in this world render me still the child are shut away, cut off. For years I have cared for these matriarchs, ever the child, though I have children of my own, a grandchild. Now I can't, not yet, maybe never. Pruning in the early morning, old roses.
Okay, beautiful, yes.
Thank you
Yeah, I
so much.
see how that
Thank you.
works.
That's interesting. Very
Very
interesting.
Did you hear the
interesting.
haiku?
Thank you.
I never heard of this before. I love it. I love
Wonderful.
to learn something new.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Oh,
Thank
you're
you.
welcome.
Yeah.
Do we have Maggie who wanted to come up and read something? Is that what I heard Barry say? Or is Margaret not there?
It's right there.
Oh,
Margaret's
Margaret?
no, it was Helen. I said, Helen was going to read, but
Okay,
Margaret is
okay.
here. Yeah, Margaret's one of the other Elwood writers.
Yes, I just
and
wanted to
Okay,
introduce
okay.
the Elwood writers.
Maggie is
Maggie?
phenomenal. Thank you, Margaret. Okay, Margaret McCaffrey. We have Shelley next and then Anita. Okay? And
Yes.
so
Thank you. And you set me up well, Helen. Thanks for your beautiful poem. I'm also going to read a COVID. This is a personal essay that was in art in the time of COVID, and it's called Meeting Grandma at the Window. Winding down a deserted Highway 169, I passed the dry, unplanted fields in southern Minnesota and felt unsteady in my emotions, but sure of my purpose. The clouds rolled in and the prairie looked cold. It's been 6 months since I visited my 98-year-old grandma in the care center, and weeks since anyone else visited her. A few days ago, my parents casually mentioned they received a letter from the care center informing them that a resident tested positive for the coronavirus. The care center was taking a stand. Nobody in, nobody out. Even though my grandma was living in a different wing of the facility, I panicked. What if this was it? What if I never got to say goodbye? Because it was a 2-hour drive and I wasn't sure what the facility would allow, I called staff and asked if they could arrange for a phone for my grandma to talk to me through a window. They said yes. Then I tried to remember how tall the windows were and if I would need a ladder or a chair to see her. Despite the outside thermometer reading 53 degrees, I threw an extra coat, hat, and mittens in the car along with a lawn chair. As I buckled my seatbelt, I promised myself I would keep my expectations low. Would Grandma understand why this visit was not in her room? Would she be upset that I didn't come in? After 6 months, would she even remember me at all? Even if we only talk for 15 minutes, it'll be worth it, I assured myself. As I pulled into town, I called the care center to say I would arrive shortly. Could they bring my grandma to the dining room with the phone? Then I cursed the water bottle and coffee mug I finished on the drive down as I realized in our new reality, there was nowhere in the small town for me to stop and use a restroom. Nobody in, nobody out. To my surprise and dismay, the nearby Quick Trip was swarming with people trying to push carts down the narrow aisles. Next door, I saw a restaurant with a flashing open sign and cars in the parking lot. I put on my leather gloves and used my back to push open doors, locked the stall with my elbow, and tried not to touch any surface. At the care center, I glanced at the glass atrium of the dining hall. As I panned the long wall from the atrium to the building entrance, my eye caught something that at first made no sense. A green metal park bench was placed facing the building, only a few feet from the windows. People sit on park benches to view the outside world, not to sit outside looking in. Then I realized the bench was for me. I threw on my jacket and hat, slowly approached, and there in the window, right in front of my bench, sat my grandma, smiling and waving. My spirits lifted, and I hoped that she would be willing to talk on the phone. A gown masked nurse named Wanda, also my grandmother's name, and her favorite person at the care center, stepped outside the entrance and asked for my phone number. I looked at Grandma and pointed to the phone. She turned and looked down at it as if she wasn't sure what it was. The nurse dialed my number and placed the phone over my grandmother's ear. I felt like I was in a visitor's cubicle across from an inmate in the jail. Grandma didn't seem to notice the strange meeting place. Her ice blue eyes were bright and focused on me, even through the glass. The dining room behind her, bustling and full only a few weeks ago, looked more like a storage warehouse with boxes and bins stacked on empty tables. The kitchen serving window was locked shut. Focusing on Grandma, she looked plump and put together with a new permanent wave in her hair and freshly painted nails. I was relieved. Hi, Grandma. I'm sorry I'm outside, but I can't come in. Have they told you about this virus going around? Well, I guess, she said, unsure. She paused, smoothed the pant leg of her slacks and tucked her hand into her wool sweater. Then moving on, she said, it looks like rain. Well, I hope it doesn't. There isn't much overhang here and I didn't bring my raincoat. Grandma, I'm so sorry we have to talk on the phone. I know you aren't a big fan of that. Not particularly. You never liked that party line you had on the farm. Did you get any good gossip listening in? I teased. I suppose I found out when the neighbor was pregnant, she said in a matter-of-fact way. Leaning into the glass with my forehead and lowering my voice in a conspiratorial tone. What did they find out about you? Nothing. I never said anything on that phone. Her tone betrayed her dislike for a mechanism that allowed others to listen in on her business. I gazed around me, trying to figure out where the breeze was coming from, and then said, is it time to start planting the fields? Looking north in the direction of her farm, Grandma considered this. Pert near time. I suppose we'll start with the beans and then plant the corn. Did you help Grandpa plant, or did you mainly cook and take care of the chickens? Recalling a nearly 70-year-old injustice, she spat. No man ever showed up to help dress chickens. I had a stump and an axe and had to take their heads off. It wasn't a pleasant job. Bringing her back to the pleasant, I said, I remember the smell of boiling feathers and spending the afternoon pulling pin feathers out so we could cut up the chicken and you would make your famous fried chicken. It was the best. As if she was back at the old family picnic, knowing how popular her recipe was, she proudly said, thank you. Remembering those picnics in the park and her daily baking routine, I asked, what was your favorite pie to make? Even though it had been 15 years since she rolled out a crust, she didn't hesitate. Blueberry or apple? Blueberry? Fresh blueberry or canned? I don't remember you making blueberry pie. Fresh, of course, answering my absurd question. Did you get the berries from the grocery store or did you have bushes? I asked, thinking hard to remember if there were any blueberry bushes in her yard. Grocery store. Well, the kitchen behind you doesn't look like anyone's using it, I said. Should I spring you out of here and we can run to the grocery store, bring back the ingredients, and bake a pie? Smiling sheepishly, Grandma replied, I don't remember how to make pie. Her eyes drooped a little and she looked confused. Not wanting the conversation to end, I attempted to bring her back to something easier to access in her mind. What were your favorite memories living on the farm? None really. That was hard work. I liked living in town better. This made sense. It's where she retired. Are you getting tired, Grandma? I asked. I'd like a nap soon. Drawn into her vernacular, I guess it's pert near time for me to go, Grandma. Can you scoot your wheelchair closer to the window? I can't give you a hug, but we can touch hands through the glass. She attempted to shuffle forward, but as always, had the darndest time getting her numb feet to work. Nurse Wanda stepped up and said, okay, Wanda, put the phone down and let's put your hand up to this glass. She guided my grandma forward. Our hands met and Grandma smiled as if it were a child's game. But the cold glass against my hand reminded me how hard and unforgiving isolation is. Tears streamed down my face as I said, I'll be back soon, maybe in time for the summer picnic. I willed the nurse to wheel her away so she wouldn't see me turn my back on her, but they just kept smiling and waving. I stood from the bench and went back to the car. Buckling in, I headed north on 169 with an eye toward Grandma's farm. When I glanced at the clock in my car, an hour had elapsed. Gratitude washed over me like the spring sunshine beckoning bean sprouts to the surface of a greening field.
Oh my goodness.
I could see every single thing, and I could relate because my mom is in a facility just like that, and I didn't get to touch the glass, but I stood outside and waved, and she was up higher. But wow, what a
Yeah,
grateful.
Shelley, that really touched me too. I went through that with my mother. It's, you captured it.
Mhm.
Yes.
Even, and in fact, my mother even killed chickens on the farm.
My neglect is to say that Shelley is a freelance writer, a former attorney, and an ambassador for organ donation, a
Wow.
mission-based world traveler and jail volunteer. She is a Story Slam participant on The Moth, and her essays can be found in Gotham Writers, San Fedele Press, and the book of art in the time of COVID-19. Women's Press, Pathways to Children.org and Cambridge.org, Adopted Family Magazine, and AAA Travel Magazine. Your education in life gives you such an ambassador-like ship to be able to give us, which we've all gone through with mothers. And it's just an amazing story, and you tell it so beautifully. And Wanda was the name of my first walking doll. It was Wanda the walking doll. And, and that must have been in like 1950. So I'll never forget you, Grandma.
Thank you. I
Thank
think
you.
that name is actually coming back with some popularity. I hope it does.
Yeah. Yeah, we have a number of recovering lawyers here, don't we?
There you go.
Yeah, yep. It's okay. I'll apologize for all of us in advance.
So is Anita going to come up? And okay, I'm gonna give her a little press. Anita Puglia is a graduate of New York University and New York Law School. After practicing law in New York and New Jersey, Anita served as a U.S. representative for the Women's International League for Peace and Freedom at the United Nations. Anita's poems have appeared online in anthologies and in print journals. Her book, Toast and the Butcher's Diamond, and her chapbooks, Perfect Diet, The Lovely Mundane, and The Sound of Morning, are published by Fishing Line Press. I love that they have one of mine a very long time ago. So thank you, Anita, for saying that you would read for us today.
Thank you for having me. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Perfectly.
Good. So Shelley, you know what this is like. You switch from legal writing to poetry. It's you have to jump a large gulf, right?
Golf, but it's such a relief to
Oh,
know.
what a relief.
That's
What a
right.
great switch. Oh my God. And one of the best teachers I ever had was I took a master class with Marie Howe, and on the 1-on-1 where they, chat with you afterwards, she said, you have to stop arguing to the jury. We get it. And I learned a lot from that, because all that adversarial writing doesn't always work when you're writing poetry. But boy, am I ever happy I made the switch. So I'm going to read two of the poems that are in the anthology. And one of them, I think, comes from we were all locked up, my husband of many years and I realized how lucky I was during that to be together. And I guess I wrote quite a few too many love poems during COVID. And this is one of them. And it's called Memo. And it starts with an epigraph from a Wendell Berry poem called Leavings. And the epigraph is, I love as I have loved you young, except that old I am astonished at such a possibility and am duly grateful. Hold me as we navigate the inevitable. Ignore unkind body parts, screaming warnings. Laugh as though this is a joke and we are the only ones in on it. Explore gratitude, regret, anger, and joy, but quickly. Time rushes through elusive openings, insists on recognition. Stay alert. Keep the beast at bay with sacrificial offerings of champagne and flowery toasts. Cue the music, snap the lights off. In the silky dark, re-explore me. Rediscover the miracle of what once was morphing into what is. Tip your weathered hat, give a nod to inexplicable luck. Allow the wind at your back to push you close. Wrap your long arms around me. Whisper the L word in a secret language only we understand.
Wonderful.
And I thought that the second poem I would read was a poem that was one of the finalists in your contest. And as you all know, well, those of us in the United States know we've really had some hard times, not just COVID, but the horrible political situation and the split and the anger and the danger is kind of remarkable and scary. And this poem came about because one of my closest friends is an artist and a sculptor. And she picked up a box of Barbie dolls that somebody was getting rid of. And she started incorporating the Barbie dolls into a lot of her art. And I started writing some poems about somehow it triggered some thoughts. And so this poem is called If Barbie Discovers That Ken is a Proud Boy. If you were nearsighted, I would buy you glasses to sit on your nose. If you were deaf, I would place small hearing aids deep inside your canals. We would dance together. You would allow me to see myself in your beautiful face. But it is not your eyes blinding you or your ears deafening the cacophony. It is your untouchable, unreachable mind. And I am unable to translate from the sidelines, drowning in love while watching you ride the swells of hate.
That is so intense, so intense. You also, if we had a contest for best titles of poems,
Yes.
that certainly would be a finalist. I don't know. Anita and readers, can you see the comments in the chat?
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
good.
we can see them.
I should have asked.
Are you reading for Anna today?
I will.
Okay.
I wanted to read a poem by Ana Flores Tamayo, who graced our book with wonderful poetry and in English and in Spanish interpretations, because translations are not poetry, she said. And so unfortunately, my Spanish is abysmal, so I will only read the English, called New Day Dawn. The wind chimes quelled with leaden silence. the stars shone glory in their pre-dawn dusk. My footsteps rustled, crunched the tumble leaves, briskly crackling beneath the overhanging eaves. The wolf dog sniffed the stillborn air, searching for his morning prey. Of course, he knew he had no chance of darting past, pouncing on that rabbit ambling o'er the trellis fast, or the squirrel scampering up the tree limb. The quiet of the morning air lay thick as fog descending, yet soon the sun would break its silent inkwell, would streak its loveliness in streams of joy and warmth, reminding me that even when years told heavy plight, these morning walks are miracles that flaunt a new day's flight.
Beautiful.
Thank you, Donna. Thank you so much for reading.
Thank you, Anna, wherever you are.
Yes, so she's working 6 days a week and
Yeah.
just went back and couldn't even think of getting 5 minutes to, join us. I'm honored to read Ann Casey, the co-winner with Andrea on this year's contest. And Ann Casey, who lives in Australia, is by way of Dublin. And she has been a journalist for the Dublin Times. She is a poet. She is a writer. She's quite a gal. And I have to say that I have been in touch with her. I have 1 or 2 of her books that she has sent me. And it's just amazing what comes from people's minds. I mean, this is called, our Prime Minister says vaccine is not a silver bullet. Primordial monsters, fawns, list in the blistering shade, a solitary kookaburra, silent between the flagging liquid amber branches, scratching at my lofty perch. Even the cicadas, early vigorous castanets stilled to a relentless dull trill. A scorching waft occasionally riffling his breast feathers downy white as snow coating the slopes outside my father's far-off window, dusting his muddled head, icy sleet piercing the winter, pruned olaria, where his cherished blackbird cluster on better days. And later here, the kookaburra will return with his one true love and their burgeoning blood to fill the swaying even branches with their raucous laughter, my heart rising to meet the updrafts torn between emigre anguish and shimmering hope. And just to add to Anne, I know she hadn't seen her father in 2 years because she can't get passage from Australia to Dublin, where he's an old gent now. And I think that she just had a family reunion. So I'm thrilled to be able to say that, to report it, because she so missed her homelands and her dad. Ann Casey, wherever you are today, I know you're presenting somewhere else. Thank you for being part of my life.
Thank you. Thank you to everyone. This was touching. I'm verklempt.
I thought you were going to say a bad word.
Anyway, so if anyone else would like to add something or say something, you're looking quite lovely there, Carol, with your crown of flowers.
Where is she? I haven't seen my friend.
Oh, you have to unmute yourself.
Hi there. I found it. I'm very sorry. I couldn't get online. Of course, I fell asleep, and then I woke up in a panic, and then I couldn't get online. But I'm so happy I was able to get here to see everyone, and the journal is absolutely excellent, and it's always excellent because of the very hard work of Pat and Donna. I mean, they put in so much effort that you should just be so thrilled that they're doing this to support your work and giving you an opportunity to present and share with other people.
Well,
And it's just phenomenal. I'm sorry I don't have anything written in this issue, but Holly and I took care of the front and the back.
gorgeous. Yes.
As far as cover design.
The back, well, I'm not sure you can see the back cover due to the magic. Oh, there we go. The back cover is one of Carol's paintings that she sent me and said, geez, I don't know, you know, I'm just working on this because of COVID. And I'm like, it's perfect. So we're always thrilled by your art, Carol. Always.
Thank you. Thank you.
I have to say to Donna, Anita, and Shelley, I was court reporter for 30 years. You guys talk too damn fast. I can't. And I still can't transition out of creative writing. And my little starfish hippocampus right here is, you know, got to be more cultivated to write like you guys.
Oh, you do fine, Pat. Okay, well.
Is it time for ice cream?
I actually made butter brickle ice cream for my husband.
Oh.
So, yeah, you know, I'll just smear some on the, no, I won't.
I'll just take some in my wine.
Yeah, we'll put some in our wine.
Okay.
Down the
Well,
line and some ice cream with it.
Okay, thank you all so much. Thank you, Pat, for putting this together. And we hope to see your work again soon.
Yes, we'll be getting in touch with everybody when we open up a new date for submissions, and we really do look forward to reading. I mean, we love it. We love it. We love it. I can't say anything more than that. We just love what we do, and we're just so happy to be working for you. And it's a